This is the Pittsburgh Drafts Innovation Podcast, and I'm your host, Jonathan Kirsten with the Pittsburgh Technology Council and Tech Vibe Radio. We have Sanjeev Singh here from Earth Autonomy, one of my favorite companies here in Pittsburgh. The stuff that you guys do is absolutely amazing, and what really blew my mind, Sanjeev, is when I was just asking some quick little bio information. You founded this thing 2012. Oh my goodness, time is flying, no pun intended. So congratulations. This has been 14 years doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
That's right.
Give our listeners just the overview of the core stuff that Earth Autonomy does. I think you're going to blow our listeners' minds.
So we're doing the aerial equivalent of what the self-driving car companies do.
So simple.
So simple, right? Fly from A to B.
Right.
Stay safe. Be efficient getting there. Now, that sounds super simple, right? But when you think about things that fly, there's a lot involved in that, okay? All kinds of missions that might go from A to B, right? We think about the simple transport mission as a easy way to explain.
Delivering supplies or something like that,
right. You're taking stuff from here to here. We work with the military. It's bullets, beans, and bandages. If you work with the...
I'm remembering that one. That's really good.
When we work with the commercial side, it's what Amazon brings to you, right? It matters a lot if you're doing the last mile or you're doing the mid-mile or you're taking the first mile, how much you're doing. So there's a whole lot of stuff that people want to do. And as the vehicle scales, so something from coffee table size all the way
like
to...
a drone or something like that? All the way to like an Apache helicopter?
All the way to a Black Hawk helicopter, right?
Black Hawk helicopter,
or bigger.
Bigger.
So then the missions are different, and how the aircraft fly are different. You can imagine a school bus drives differently than a sports car does, right? And so you have to have all of that in mind when you think about how you do autonomy for these things.
When I think about autonomy in the air, you have this extra dimension of up and down you must account for as opposed to doing something on the ground. So I feel like it's this extra level of just sheer craziness that you have to solve for.
Actually, it becomes easier in the air from that perspective. Because
from at least there's less to hit.
There are more options. And the idea here is that when you're in the air, because of this extra dimension, what happens is that then you can fly nominal missions possibly above everything else. 100%. You're not going to find trees at 1,000 feet, for example.
Thank God. Then we got problems.
Now, there are lots of hazards, okay, and some of the missions require you to fly low, but generally they're going to be exceptions, okay? Now, if you just compare this to self-driving cars, you can see the difference. You couldn't imagine a self-driving car driving one block without being very cognizant of everything that's on that street, okay? Pedestrians, other vehicles, things that might be in the street for whatever reason, bicyclists, kids, old people, someone on crutches. So you have to figure out...
the whole gamut.
The whole gamut. The thing is, not only the whole gamut, but you have to figure out what are these objects, some of which are inanimate, so they're not going to move, and some of them are moving, but where are they going to go in the next few seconds? Because just because something is not at risk right now, but it might become something that you collide with in the next few seconds. And the ground vehicle has to make that kind of determination very quickly and continuously. In the air, we have different problems, but really we stay away from everything. You don't have to figure out what that thing is. If you could see something, stay away from it. Is the other aircraft, stay far from it.
It's something to stay away from, but you don't have to identify exactly what it is.
Yeah, you don't have to identify something.
That makes sense.
And you have many more options on how to fly than ground vehicles do. Sometimes ground vehicles have to stop and back up and take another route. This is happening all the time. More if you have an unstructured environment, less if you have a structured environment. If you have construction, it's not on your map, you're going to have to stop, you're going to have to back out, maybe do a K-turn and get out of there, et cetera, like that. Or you just don't have to do that. But in the air, the difficulty is you can't easily come to a stop. Now, with a helicopter, you can hover, for a little bit.
Never thought about that. With a plane, you got to keep on cruising.
Correct.
You can just lose some altitude. That's about it.
Or gain altitude, but you cannot stop. Okay. In fact, for fixed-wing aircraft, there's something called stall velocity. Okay, so that's stall speed, which is the lowest velocity that you could be moving at before the aircraft stalls and falls.
Before gravity takes over 100%.
That's right.
We don't want that to happen.
So there's that, right? And power is a big deal. Power is a big deal in the air. Weight is a big deal.
Everything is. Yeah, when it comes to that. You got to keep it light and make sure it has plenty of power and all that. Yeah. So this is tough stuff, but you have some really cool customers. Can you mention any of your customers that you have?
Yeah, we work with the Marine Corps and the Army as at the kind of like the initial adoption. And now we're working with a bunch of commercial customers too. We talk to all sorts of companies. One company that we've announced a collaboration with is a great company in Vermont called Beta Technologies, and Beta builds electric aircraft. And so these are so cool. Cutting edge kinds of things.
Too much fun, Sanjeev. Yeah. That's all I can say. Electric aircraft, little things like that.
Yeah, these are wonderful aircraft that the principal usage is for logistics. So mid-mile logistics, few hundred miles, maybe more than a few hundred miles, but this is for passengers, and then the idea might be for something that flies uncrewed, which means no pilot.
Yeah.
And when you're going to fly that in what we call the national airspace, as opposed to military airspace or outside, if you're flying over the Pacific or something like that, then in national airspace case, you have to have extremely high level of reliability.
Oh, the standards have to be just the tip top. Things can't fall out of the sky and hit neighborhoods.
That's right. That's right.
So that's in the ocean, you got a little area there, right? But still, that's amazing.
So that is actually the biggest challenge there when you're flying in a commercial kind of setting. You have to be able to meet certain standards that aircraft meet today.
Exactly. And what I love about all this is you're doing that from Pittsburgh, and you're in the East End. We're doing it from Pittsburgh. I ride my bike past you guys all the time. I'm like, what are they working on in there? Now I know a little bit more. And you mentioned before, 90 people working about for the company. It's just, you guys are a Pittsburgh success story on so many levels. And I still think the best is yet to come for you, which I think is so exciting.
It's a very fast-moving world. Lots of things are changing. These technologies are becoming more accepted, and even the use case, which has to do with the real use case on the commercial side, is a question of point-to-point kind of transport. Okay, right now, supposing you were to send an envelope from here to Monroeville, it will probably go through Memphis.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, if you think about
FedEx envelope. Exactly. It will go because there isn't, and if you send a package, definitely it will go through. It'll go through a hub, and the idea is that's slow and it's inefficient, and because we just don't have good low-cost point-to-point transport. And I think the idea is that autonomy can really change the equation there. Yeah. It could change the equation.
Solving tough problems like that right here in Pittsburgh. Sanjeev, you are the best. Thanks for hanging out with me today. What a great conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Great stuff.